Welcome to His-to-Sleep, a place where every gentle sound guides you toward peace, and every moment helps you drift into deep, restful sleep. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Dear listener, take a comfortable breath now and feel your body settle into softness. Let your eyelids grow heavy, like gentle petals closing in twilight. Imagine a warm, quiet room around you, perhaps a small cottage by a meadow, where a soft breeze whispers through open windows, carrying the faint scent of moss and old stone. Feel the gentle hum of evening, the world slowing down. You are safe, you are calm. Our story today begins in the oldest kind of quiet, where time itself feels soft and slow. Our story today begins at a place very far in the past, but not in a way that rushes. Rather, it drifts, like a feather landing on water. Our story today begins at the mouth of a deep cave. In this cave, long ago, someone sat very still. In one hand, they held a rough stone, in the other, another. They tapped them together softly, not to make a weapon, but almost by accident. And as they tapped, a little dust fell from one to the other, and a faint mark appeared, a smudge of ochre, ancient yet quietly alive in that moment. This tiny moment, so small and slow, was the gentle beginning of painting. Imagine the cave walls stretching out before you, cool and smooth in some places, rough in others. The air smells faintly of damp earth and mineral dust. The sound of dripping water echoes very softly, far away, like distant beads of time dropping gently into a pool. You can almost hear the slow heartbeat of the cave itself. As the first person leaned in, they pressed the stone more softly, and more pigment emerged. Powdered rock, maybe mixed with clay, maybe touched by water that had trickled in. They used their fingers first, then a piece of charcoal, then a little twig. The marks they made were quiet, not careful or perfect, but honest. A simple line, then another, a curve, a dot, a smudge. Over many nights, others came. Some carried smudges of wet clay in their palms. Some brought ash from small fires. They discovered that by crushing berries, or mixing soot and fat, they could make colors: red, black, brown, muted earth tones. These early artists dipped their fingers in these mixtures and pressed them to the stone, leaving soft handprints, gentle shapes, shadows of animals they saw when they closed their eyes. Perhaps a bison, or a deer, or something whose shape was more feeling than form. Now, I invite you to imagine you are there, in that cave, sitting beside one of those early painters. Your feet rests on cool stones. Your breath is slow, steady, matching the rhythm of the dripping water. You feel calm, protected by the darkness that is not scary, just peaceful. The cave feels like a cradle, gently rocking you in its ancient silence. As you breathe in, think of the color: red earth, dark charcoal, smoky black. As you breathe out, imagine the strokes forming a curve, a line, a shadow of a creature. Each stroke is quiet, but each carries meaning. No rush, no hurry. With time, someone tries something new. They use a piece of bone to scratch into the rock, creating a shallow groove. Then they fill it with crushed pigment. That groove becomes a sharper line, outlining a shape, as if they are whispering into the stone itself. On other walls, they let pigment drip, and it pools, then dries, leaving soft blotches that seem like dreams. In the hush of that cave, night after night, the walls grow full of life, softly, slowly. Shapes emerge, then fade, then change. There is no urgency, There is only quiet observation. The artists pause. They step back. They nod, satisfied with what they've done, not because it's perfect, but because it is honest. Now the scene shifts, ever so gently, and we move forward in time. Imagine walking away from the cave and into a small, medieval village, the kind of place where painting feels like something magical, something rare. There is a little workshop near the hearth of a humble house. Here, a medieval painter grinds pigments by candlelight, mixing earth and water in a shallow bowl. The scent of beeswax and flame drifts in the air. The brush he uses is made from soft animal hair, perhaps squirrel or goat, and the strokes he makes on parchment or wood are quiet, almost as soft as a sigh. This painter works slowly, grinding pigment with a smooth stone, whispering gently to himself as he works. He knows that creating color takes patience. He knows that each layer must settle before the next one can rest. You can sense his calm in the way he lifts his brush, dips it, and lets it touch the surface. Imagine now the brush touching wood. The bristles bend softly, spreading pigment in delicate lines. You hear only the faint whisper of wood grain receiving the color, like a leaf accepting a drop of dew. The painting grows, not in grand sweeps, but in small, careful touches. A flower, a leaf, a figure in a robe. The artist's breathing is slow, his hands steady. The room is warm. The heart crackles softly, offering gentle rhythm. Now, dear listener, as you drift deeper into lulled calm, I want you to notice how the world of painting has grown, from stone to parchment, from cave walls to wooden panels. Imagine thousands of hands over centuries, each making tiny marks, layering colors in quiet patience, each one whispering into the surface, softly, gently, like secrets. If these quiet tales are helping you drift off, a gentle like or a silent subscribe would mean the world. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder where in the world you are listening from right now. If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It's a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now, let's set the mood, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and get comfortable. Dear listener, settle in again. Let your breath fall into a slow, easy rhythm. Feel the softness under you, the warmth around you, and the way the world quiets when you give yourself permission to rest. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your jaw unclench. Let your thoughts drift like soft brushstrokes floating across a canvas. Our story continues where we left off, in that small medieval workshop where the air is warm, the candles glow low, and a painter mixes pigments by hand. The room feels safe. You can practically sense the strokes of color before they appear. He dips his brush again, stirring the tiny bowl of pigment he just ground with a rounded stone. The sound is faint, almost like sand shifting along a riverbank. This pigment has taken hours to make. He soaked the minerals earlier in the day, then crushed them into powder, then mixed them with oil until it all blended into a gentle color, something like warm earth or smoke at dusk. Painting in these times is slow, quiet. It is a craft that encourages patience, and patience creates calm. And calm, as you feel it now, allows your breath to deepen, your mind to soften, your body to rest. The painter pauses. He watches the flame on the candle flicker, and then he continues. As he paints, the wood panel in front of him begins to change. color blooms in slow layers. Each brushstroke seems to hum softly, as though the painting itself is alive. The room fills with that deep, grounding stillness that comes when someone pours their attention into something simple and steady. Now, imagine yourself standing nearby, observing without rushing. You notice tiny details that would normally go unseen, the way the candles wax pools around the base, forming little folded ridges, the soft crackling of burning wood in the hearth, the faint scratch of bristles dancing across the panel. The painter dips his brush in water, swirls it, taps it gently against the edge of the bowl, and mixes a new color. Perhaps something slightly brighter, muted green or a pale gold. Medieval painters treasured gold. Sometimes they used real gold leaf, pressed so thin it could flutter if someone breathed too close. It clung to panels, manuscripts, and sometimes even the edges of clothing painted in portraits. It shimmered softly in the torchlight. Imagine that golden glow now, warm, sleepy, comforting. And now picture the painter leaning closer, adding delicate touches to the corner of his work. Maybe a leaf, maybe a halo, maybe a curl of fabric. Something small, something shaped with quiet care, like a lullaby painted into place. You can almost hear the hush of time itself. But our journey does not stop in this workshop. Let your imagination follow my voice as we drift forward, again gliding through centuries like slow-moving clouds. Our next stop is a grand but peaceful monastery, tucked away in a valley filled with tall grass and slow-moving streams. Here, painting takes a different form. It becomes illumination, bright colors pressed into pages, letters adorned with soft spirals, tiny animals, and tender little vines curling around the margins. Inside the scriptorium, the room is silent, except for the scratch of quills and the occasional turning of parchment. The air smells of ink, vellum, and beeswax. Sunlight streams in through narrow windows, forming soft, golden columns that fall across the desks. A monk sits at one of these desks. His robe pools around his feet. His hair is tonsured. His posture is calm, steady, and unhurried. He dips a quill into ink, lifts it slowly, and begins to write, line by line, word by word. Each motion is delicate, almost meditative. Nearby, another monk works on the illustration's colorful scenes meant to accompany the written words. He has jars of pigment arranged in a neat row, ultramarine made from precious lapis lazuli, verdigris, a green born from copper, red lead, warm ochres. Each color has a story. Each takes days to prepare. He dips his fine brush into a small pot of gold leaf adhesive, and then, very gently, presses a square of gold foil onto the page. It clings immediately. When he brushes away the excess, it leaves behind a soft shimmer that catches the sunlight. You can almost hear the tiny whisper of gold being laid down. Imagine that shimmer spreading slowly across your mind, like warm, light-touching, calm water. Even here, in a place filled with the quiet devotion of monks, painting is uneventful, peacefully uneventful. Every stroke is slow. Every page takes weeks, sometimes months. But there is no urgency, only a sense of devotion and stillness. Now, dear listener, drift with me again. Drift gently. Imagine stepping outside the monastery and following a dirt path through softly swaying grasses. The air is cool. A gentle breeze brushes your cheeks. Birds settle quietly in nearby branches. You feel lighter with each step. As you walk, the land opens into a small medieval town. Cobblestone paths, timber houses, quiet market stalls, soft voices echoing gently between walls. And somewhere in this town, tucked between two bakeries, is another painter's workshop. This one belongs to a guild. Inside, apprentices grind paint by turning heavy stones in circles. Masters teach them how to prepare wooden panels, stretch canvas, and mix colors properly. The sound inside the workshop is an orchestra of soft things: brushes tapping, wood being rubbed smooth, pigments being stirred, canvas being stretched. Nothing loud, nothing rushed. Here, too, painting is slow. A master painter might spend hours on a single ear, a single fold of cloth, a single glimmer of light on a piece of armor. Apprentices watch, learn, imitate, repeat. This gentle pattern goes on day after day. It is the rhythm of a life lived through careful observation. Imagine now one of those apprentices sitting with a canvas in front of him. He adds a little dot of white to the pupil of an eye, bringing it to life. Then he softens the shadows around his cheek. Then he smooths a line of fabric. Every motion is tiny, like a whisper you can barely hear. And now, notice your breath again. How slow it has become, how steady, how peaceful. Let the world of painting continue to wrap around you. Let the brush strokes soften your thoughts. Let the warmth of candlelight settle into your body. Dear listener, welcome back. Settle into your pillow a little deeper. Let your breath become slow and even again. Let your body remember that it is nighttime and you are allowed to let go. Feel the air around you, soft, calm, quiet. Maybe there is a faint hum in your room, a fan, a night breeze, the gentle creak of a settling house. Let those sounds wrap around you like a warm, cozy blanket. Now, let yourself drift back into our slow, peaceful journey through the incredibly dull, wonderfully gentle history of painting. Our path now carries us forward through centuries of slow brushstrokes and patient minds until we arrive at a quieter corner of the Renaissance. Not the bustling, dramatic Renaissance you see in big stories and grand paintings. No. We are visiting the small studios, the quiet ones, the ones nobody rushed to see. And that is exactly why they feel so calm. Imagine walking down a narrow stone alley in a small Italian town. Laundry hangs between houses. Pigeons coo softly from rooftops. The cobblestones are warm beneath the fading light. And somewhere near the end of the alley, a tiny wooden sign creaks above a half-open door. Inside sits a painter who was never famous, but was very content. His studio smells faintly of linseed oil and warm wood. Canvases lean against every wall. Some are blank. Some have only a few soft strokes. Some have figures with peaceful, unfinished faces, waiting patiently for hours or days or months until the painter feels ready to continue. He moves slowly. Everything he does feels like a breath. He picks up a brush. He pauses. He mixes a color. He pauses again. And then, with a steady hand, he places a single stroke on the canvas. Imagine how soft that moment feels. The brush whispers against the linen. The paint glides like cream. The surface accepts it without question. There is no pressure, no deadlines. Just a man, a brush, and a quiet room at dusk. Now picture the light falling into that room. The window is small, but the sun aligns with it perfectly this hour of the evening. The golden rays spill across the floor, creeping slowly along the boards, touching the painter's robe, lighting up dust motes floating lazily in the air. You can almost see those dust motes drifting like tiny stars, shimmering peaceful, unhurried. This is the kind of calm light painters have chased for centuries. Light that doesn't shout, light that whispers. And now, dear listener, imagine standing behind the painter as he works. You don't interfere, you don't speak, you simply watch the slow, meditative process unfold. He chooses a deep brown pigment. He mixes it with oil, folds it gently, softens it with the edge of a palette knife. The sound is faint, like cream being stirred. Then he lifts the brush again, holding it lightly between his fingers, and adds shadow to the side of a small wooden bowl he has been painting. This bowl is not important. It is not symbolic. It is not part of a famous story. It is simply a bowl, and yet he paints it with quiet devotion. This is what dull painting history is made of. Small objects, slow studies, gentle attention. And that is why it feels so calming to imagine it. Now let us drift onward, across the mountains, across time, into another quiet moment in painting's long, sleepy path. This time, we arrive in Northern Europe, where painters study not dramatic scenes, but simple windowsills, quiet rooms, and the way daylight looks when it sneaks through a curtain. Imagine a small Dutch home in the 1600s. It is tidy, peaceful. A cup of warm milk sits on the table. A cat sleeps near the hearth. The floorboards creak softly under light footsteps. A painter here loves painting ordinary things. A loaf of bread, a vase, a folded cloth. He sets a pear on the windowsill. Just a pear. A small, green, ordinary pear. Then he sits down and stares at it for a very long time. The pear becomes a landscape, a shape, a whisper of light and shadow, a tiny moment worth capturing. He lifts his brush. He breathes out slowly. He adds a soft highlight to the curve of the fruit. And suddenly, that simple pear becomes almost magical in its simplicity. These painters understood something important. Life is full of small, quiet details, and quiet things are often the most comforting. As you imagine this still life forming stroke by strokelet, yourself feel the stillness inside you growing too. Let yourself slow down with the brush. Let your breath match the painter's pace. Let your mind soften around the edges, like colors blending on a palette. Now, breathe in and out, and let the journey continue. In the next room of this painter's home, a woman sits by the window, sewing. The window is framed by soft curtains. The room smells faintly of soap and wool. From outside, you can hear distant horse hooves on stone, and the slow creak of a wooden cart rolling by. The painter glances at her, noticing how her silhouette is outlined by the soft light. He does not paint her today, but he stores the image in his mind. A quiet moment, a simple pose, a bit of beauty found in stillness. It is these small scenes that shaped painting's uneventful, soothing history as much as any grand masterpiece. Now, dear listener, imagine the world outside the painter's home growing dim. Imagine candles being lit one by one. Imagine soft footsteps moving through the rooms, each one careful, slow, familiar. The house breathes with you. The world softens further. You are drifting deeper now, gently, quietly, just like painting drifted slowly from cave walls to wooden panels to linen canvases over thousands of years. And as we continue, we will wander into studios filled with the scent of turpentine and sun-warmed wood, into landscapes painted outdoors under gentle skies, into quiet museums where people nod at paintings simply because it feels polite. As we drift forward in this gentle little journey through the slow history of painting, Allow yourself to settle back into your position. Maybe you shift your shoulders just a little. Maybe you give your jaw permission to rest. Let your eyes grow softer. Let your breath settle into a rhythm that feels warm and steady. We're not in a hurry here. We're just moving quietly from one calm moment to the next. Our story continues in a simple workshop tucked away inside the early days of ancient Greece. It is quiet here. Sunlight falls across a stone floor in soft patches. A warm breeze moves through the doorway, carrying the faint scent of crushed olives and fresh clay. A painter sits on a low wooden stool. He is slow, careful, and very uninterested in anything dramatic. He dips a brush made from horsehair into a bowl of thin black paint. He is working on a vase that has already taken days to form and dry. He paints a single line, then pauses as if that line alone deserves a moment of thought. The room stays still while he considers what to do next. Greek painters loved quiet storytelling. They painted figures that looked steady and calm, even in scenes where the story was supposed to be lively. Horses stood politely. Warriors faced each other like they were discussing the weather. Even their gods appeared gentle, as if they knew someone might be drinking tea while looking at them. These painters were not rushing. They were not trying to impress anyone. They were simply trying to get the lines right, nice and even, nice and balanced. If you picture the painter breathing slowly while he works, let your own breath match his pace. A long breath in, a slow breath out. Nothing complicated, just simple, rhythmic calm. The Greeks gave the world the first art teachers, the first art fans, and the first people who stood around offering opinions. Even though no one asked for those opinions, they offered them anyway. Someone would look at a vase and say something like, the foot of this hero looks a little large. Another would comment, interesting use of black, very bold. The painter would nod politely, but inside he was probably just thinking about his lunch. That timeless feeling of people quietly judging paintings has survived all the way into the present day. So has the habit of painters ignoring them. Some things never change. Now let's drift forward a little more. The world grows larger. Cities rise and fall. Kingdoms appear like distant campfires at night. The air of the story shifts and softens until we find ourselves inside a small Roman house where a wall painting is taking shape. A young artist stands in front of a fresh plaster wall, holding a tray of colored powders mixed with water and lime. Fresco painting required speed because the plaster dried quickly. But even with the pressure of time ticking away, the artist works with calm precision. His brush moves in slow, steady arcs. He paints a tree with round leaves and a tiny bird that is far too still to be real. Roman frescoes often showed quiet gardens, calm landscapes, and bowls of fruit that sat so politely you could almost hear them greeting you. Even when they painted myths full of dramatic events, everything still felt serene. It might be a scene of a hero fighting a monster, but somehow both hero and monster looked like they were posing for a family portrait. As you imagine the painter leaning in close to add detail to the bird, you might feel your own body leaning in slightly too, then relaxing back again. It feels nice to notice these small things. They anchor you at this moment. Now imagine stepping away from the wall. You walk through a doorway into a courtyard where sunlight glows on warm tile. There is a simple fountain in the center. Water falls with a soft, repetitive sound that feels almost like a lullaby. A few vines hang from a wooden trellis. The leaves move gently, in the breeze. A quiet world. A world that lets you breathe easily. Let that feeling stay with you while we glide to another place. The centuries begin to turn again, almost like pages in a heavy book that someone is flipping very slowly. The world becomes quieter for a while. Knowledge is tucked away in small pockets of safety. Painting continues, but it changes shape. The next scene opens in a medieval monastery, where monks work by candlelight. The room is cool and made of stone. The only sound is the scratch of quills on parchment. An older monk sits at a wooden desk, preparing pigments from ground minerals. He mixes them with patient movements. He does not rush. Each bowl of color is stirred with care. Blue made from crushed lapis, red made from soft clay, green made from malachite. The colors glow faintly in the candlelight. Another monk bends over an open book. His robe pools around his feet. He paints small illustrations between lines of text, tiny saints, tiny trees, tiny gold halos that catch the light and shimmer like quiet stars. These illustrations were not meant to impress huge crowds. They were created for small rooms, soft eyes, slow reading, quiet prayer. They were paintings for people who liked to linger. Sometimes the monks added little animals or playful creatures in the corners of pages. A rabbit holding a leaf, a cat staring at nothing in particular, a bird that looked confused. They placed these things into the margins because they enjoyed the act of painting them. That was enough. As you picture the warm glow of the candle and the patient rhythm of the monks at their desks, you may feel your mind drifting into that same slow pace, that same gentle attention. Everything is still. Everything is soft. Outside the monastery, the night air is cool. A faint wind moves through the trees and brushes against the old walls. It feels like nature itself is whispering. You might let that imagined whisper settle into your breathing. Let it soothe your thoughts. Let it quiet the parts of your mind that want to stay busy. The history of painting during this time was not loud. It was not fast. It was not full of excitement, but it was comforting. Painters cared about small details. They worked slowly. They added color to the world, one tiny brushstroke at a time. They were building the foundation for everything that would come later. And our story is about to drift into those next chapters soon. But for now, let this soft, medieval candlelight linger in your mind. Let the stillness of the monastery surround you like a warm blanket. Let your breath settle even deeper into your chest. You are safe here. You are welcome here. You are resting inside a quiet moment that asks nothing from you. Dear listener, settle back into your space. Feel your body sink deeper into comfort. Perhaps your legs feel heavier. Your arms rest easily. Your shoulders release all tension. Let your breathing slow, in and out, soft, gentle, steady. You are here. You are safe. The world outside can wait. Tonight, we are drifting through the quiet, slow unfolding of painting, letting each moment stretch lazily across your mind. Our story continues as painting moves forward into small European towns, where light filters softly through narrow windows onto the workbenches of quiet artists. Imagine a little studio in Flanders, tucked above a cobbled street. A painter sits hunched over a canvas that has already been primed with a soft layer of white gesso. His palette is filled with muted colors, warm ochres, soft greens, and gentle browns. There is no dramatic scene, no hero or villain in this painting, just a still life. A simple vase filled with flowers, a loaf of bread, the sunlight, yet it holds a quiet beauty that draws you in. The painter works slowly, moving his brush with the same care he would use to trace a delicate letter. Each stroke is small, considered. He pauses occasionally to look through a window at the soft motion of the world outside. A cat curls in the sunlight. Leaves tremble gently in the wind. The distant clatter of carts on stone sounds like soft percussion in this serene moment. He dips his brush again, gliding pigment across the surface. The paint absorbs into the canvas, quiet and obedient. This was a favorite kind of painting in these towns. People appreciated patience, subtlety, and small details. Painters would capture a single bowl of fruit, arranging it just so on a tabletop, making the texture of each peach or pear visible but not startling. The reflections in a copper pot might shimmer faintly. A curtain might fold over softly, nothing hurried, nothing demanding, and yet these small compositions had the power to calm anyone who paused long enough to look. Imagine yourself sitting quietly beside this painter. You do not need to participate. You do not need to judge. You simply watch the gentle motion of brush meeting canvas, the subtle blending of colors, the way the painter tilts his head, considers his next movement, and then slowly continues. The world outside the window drifts along in harmony with your breathing. In, out, in, out. The quiet rhythm of creation matches the quiet rhythm of your body. Sometimes the painter steps back. He squints at his work and nods ever so slightly, satisfied. Perhaps he will not touch it again today. That is enough. The canvas rests. The light shifts. Dust motes float lazily in the air, illuminated like tiny, delicate stars. You notice them drifting slowly. Their motion feels hypnotic, peaceful, still. You feel the same calm settling in your chest, your legs, your arms, your whole body. Painting is also about mistakes. Sometimes a brush stroke lands in the wrong place. Sometimes a color dries darker than intended. And yet, these mistakes are quietly accepted. They become part of the painting's gentle story. Nothing is urgent. Nothing is loud. Nothing disrupts the serenity. The artist might sigh softly, adjust a tiny line, and continue. Or he might leave it, and that imperfection will carry its own quiet charm. As time passes, the studio becomes dimmer. The sun lowers behind the rooftops, painting the sky with muted pinks and soft blues. The painter's movements slow. The room cools. Shadows lengthen. Every surface canvas floor palette seems to settle into stillness. Even the air feels thicker with calm. You might notice your body sinking even further into relaxation, as if you are joining the painter in the gentle rhythm of slowing time. Now imagine stepping outside for just a moment. The town street is quiet. Smoke drifts lazily from chimneys. The cobblestones glisten faintly in the last light of day. A gentle wind rustles the leaves on the trees along the riverbank. Your breath moves with this wind. The world feels spacious and safe. Soft sounds reach your ears. The distant clip of a horse's hoof, the faint murmur of water over stones. Everything moves slowly, comfortably. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to do anything at all. You are simply observing, simply breathing, simply being. Inside the studio, the painter prepares to finish for the evening. He cleans his brushes carefully in a small bowl of water. He lays them across a soft cloth to dry. He folds his apron and sets it aside. He dims the candle, leaving only the faintest glow behind. And when he leaves, the room is empty, yet full of quiet presence. Every brushstroke, every tiny imperfection, every soft shadow remains, settled into a peaceful rhythm. The painting waits silently, ready to welcome anyone who comes to see it. Perhaps a visitor will glance at the simple bouquet of flowers, perhaps a loaf of bread, perhaps the folds of a quiet curtain, and that visitor may feel themselves slowing down, breathing a little more evenly, drifting a little closer to rest. Imagine yourself next to this painting. You do not need to understand it fully. You do not need to name the objects or the colors. You simply notice the calm of its presence, the gentle way it holds space, the way it moves your attention from one corner to the next, without pressure, without expectation. You might imagine tracing a soft finger along the edges of the shapes in your mind. Soft, slow, quiet, comfortable, safe. Now, let us drift a little further forward. The centuries turn slowly. Painters continue to work with soft patience. Brushes, pigments, canvases, wooden panels, paper. Each medium has its own quiet rhythm. The process is long. The results are calm. There are no explosions, no sudden twists, no urgent conflicts. Just slow observation, careful creation, small gestures repeated many times, and a world that seems to pause around the painter as he works. Imagine light moving across a still lake while an artist paints it. Ripples reflect clouds. Trees lean slightly into the water. Birds perch silently on distant branches. The painter's hand moves slowly, gently, capturing the soft scene, and you imagine yourself there too, inhaling the fresh air, feeling the warmth of the sun, listening to the soft sounds of water lapping at stones. Nothing happens quickly. Nothing needs to be solved. You are simply present. You are simply breathing. You are simply resting. This is the gentle rhythm of the history of painting. It is the rhythm of patience, stillness, and quiet attention. It is the rhythm that lulls the mind toward sleep. Now, as this scene softens in your imagination, notice your body again. Let your limbs sink. Let your mind drift. Let your thoughts fold into themselves like the soft petals of a flower closing at dusk. Imagine the brushstrokes of centuries of painters extending outward, brushing calmness across the world, landing softly on your mind. In this quiet space, nothing is urgent, nothing is loud. Everything moves slowly. Everything is gentle. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting. Dear listener, settle back once again. Feel the weight of your body sinking comfortably into your bed or chair. Let your arms rest softly at your sides. Let your legs release into the support beneath you. Allow your eyes to feel heavy and your breathing to slow, natural and calm. You are here in this quiet space, and the rest of the world can drift gently around you. Tonight, we are moving slowly through the history of painting, not for excitement, but for the gentle rhythm it offers. Let us imagine a quiet studio in Italy during the early Renaissance. The air smells faintly of wood, wet plaster, and a tiny hint of beeswax from candles. Sunlight spills softly through a high window, illuminating dust motes that float lazily in the warm light. A painter sits before a wooden panel that has been primed with gesso. His brushes are soft, his palette is calm, and he works with the patience of someone who has all the time in the world. There is no rush. There is only the slow movement of pigment across the surface, the steady rhythm of hand meeting brush. The painter lifts a brush, dips it into a muted ochre, and presses it lightly to the panel. A line appears, delicate and considered. He pauses. He tilts his head, watching the sunlight shift across the surface. Shadows move slowly as the day goes on, and he adjusts the line ever so slightly, just as he did yesterday, and will again tomorrow. Painting in this time was about careful observation. Every fold of fabric, every curve of a cheek, every hint of light on a vase took attention and patience. The work was soft, deliberate, and soothing. Now imagine yourself standing just behind this painter. You do not interfere. You do not speak. You simply watch as the brush moves, the pigment blends, and a scene gradually emerges on the panel. Perhaps it is a small domestic scene, a bowl of fruit on a wooden table, a quiet window with sunlight falling across the sill, a single cat curled in the corner. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, just simple, calm beauty. Let your mind follow the brush, tracing its movements, feeling the slow rhythm settle into your own body and breath. Time moves forward, slowly and gently, and painting begins to include more landscapes. Artists set up their easels near rivers, quiet hills, and gentle forests. They observe the world in soft, careful ways. Trees bend with a light breeze. Water ripples faintly. Clouds drift lazily across the sky. Painters capture these moments not to impress, but simply to honor the stillness of the world around them. Imagine sitting beside one of these painters outdoors. You feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. You hear the soft lapping of water and the whisper of wind through leaves. Your breathing naturally matches the calm rhythm of the landscape. Each tree, each cloud, each ripple becomes a gentle lullaby for your mind. Inside the studio again, painters continue to experiment with new techniques, but always at a slow pace. Layer by layer, color builds softly, shadows deepen gently. Highlights appear in subtle glimmers, never harsh, never demanding attention. Gold leaf might be applied to a halo or the edge of a page in a manuscript, catching the light faintly as if to nod softly at the viewer. The glimmer is quiet. It is not meant to startle, only to comfort, as if whispering, "All is well. Rest now." Now, dear listener, picture the tiny details these artists notice. The curve of a leaf, the way a shadow bends across a wall, the faint blush of a cheek. They study these things slowly. They do not rush. Every moment is measured. Every motion is deliberate. And as you picture it, feel your own mind slowing. Notice your heartbeat. Notice your lungs expanding and contracting with gentle rhythm. You are moving in sync with centuries of quiet, careful hands. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting. The next step in our journey takes us north to the Netherlands, where small towns and quiet workshops produce paintings of everyday life. Artists observe kitchens, markets, quiet streets, and the way light spills across simple objects. A loaf of bread, a basket of fruit, a glass of water. These mundane things become subjects of careful attention. Painters capture them not in grandiose compositions, but with patience and gentle focus. Imagine looking at a simple bowl of apples, painted in a soft morning light. You notice each subtle shadow, each tiny highlight on the curve of a fruit. You feel the same gentle focus spreading into your mind. Your body releases tension. Your mind releases tension. Each detail is a quiet invitation to slow down. Sometimes, painters include small animals in their work: a dog resting in the sun, a bird perched silently on a windowsill, a cat peeking around a corner. These little touches are not meant to draw attention. They are meant to invite calm observation. You notice them slowly, like a secret shared between the artist and anyone who happens to pause and watch. Let your mind linger on these small creatures. Let them remind you of the comfort of soft sounds, of gentle motion, of quiet presence. As night falls in these quiet towns, painters often work by candlelight. The flame flickers gently. Shadows dance softly across the walls. Pigments mix in tiny bowls, colors blending slowly. There is no hurry, there is no urgency. There is only the steady act of creation. You might imagine this warmth, now the faint smell of wax and pigment, the soft orange glow, the calmness that comes when nothing must happen quickly. Feel it spread through your body. Your hands rest, your arms rest, your shoulders sink, your breath flows naturally. You are here, you are calm. And as you breathe, think of all the small movements that make painting what it is. The careful grinding of pigments, the gentle mixing with water or oil, the tender stroke of a brush on canvas, the slow layering of color, the subtle corrections, the small pauses, the quiet appreciation of light. All these things create a world that moves slowly, that listens, that nurtures calm. And now, in your mind, you are part of that world. You are moving slowly. You are breathing calmly. You are resting in the rhythm of paint and light, of shadow and quiet presence. Tonight, dear listener, the incredibly dull history of painting is your lullaby. The centuries of soft strokes, muted colors, and small attentions are carrying you gently toward rest. You do not need to understand all of it. You do not need to remember every painter or every detail. You only need to let the rhythm of these slow, careful moments settle into your body, your mind, and your breath. Each brushstroke, each shadow, each soft glimmer of light is an invitation to relax, to let go, to drift. The world outside your window continues its quiet hum, but here, in this space of imagined studios, quiet workshops, and softly lit rooms, time itself seems to slow. You are moving with it, in tune with centuries of gentle, careful human attention. You are safe, you are calm, you are drifting deeper into sleep, carried by the soft, slow heartbeat of painting itself. Dear listener, settle once more into the comfort surrounding you. Let your body sink deeper into softness. Let your arms rest easily at your sides. Your legs release into the support beneath you. Let your eyes grow heavier with each gentle blink, and allow your breath to flow slowly, naturally, as if the air itself were brushing softly across your skin. You are here, you are safe. And we continue our journey together, moving slowly through the quiet, patient history of painting. A history that has always whispered instead of shouted. A history that invites calm and rest. Now, imagine a quiet street in Florence during the late Renaissance. The sun is low in the sky, spilling warm light across terracotta rooftops. A gentle breeze moves through narrow alleyways, carrying the faint scent of herbs from small gardens tucked between buildings. At the top of a quiet stairway, a small studio awaits, its door slightly open. Inside, a painter leans over a canvas, stretched carefully across a wooden frame. His brushes are soft, his palette is calm, and he works with the patient rhythm of someone who knows that time is on their side. Each stroke of color lands gently on the surface, blending seamlessly into the layer beneath. There is no rush, no clamor, only quiet, careful creation. The painter's subject today is simpler window, looking out onto a courtyard, a bowl of fruit, and the soft folds of a draped cloth. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. The colors are muted yet warm, each one mixed by hand from pigment ground from minerals and plants. He adds subtle highlights to the folds of fabric, shadow to the curve of an apple, the faintest shimmer to a piece of glass. Each motion is deliberate, slow, and soft, like a gentle wave moving over sand. You can almost hear the brush whispering across the surface of the canvas. Step back in your mind and watch the room around him. A small candle flickers on the windowsill. The flame bends ever so slightly as a breeze moves through the window, sending shadows dancing softly across the walls. A bird rests quietly on the ledge outside, pecking gently at crumbs. The room is calm, still, and warm. Every object seems to exist solely to support the quiet act of creation, and every moment stretches lazily into the next. Notice your own body mirroring this pace. Your shoulders are soft, your jaw is relaxed, your breath moves evenly, gently, calmly. You are part of this slow, peaceful rhythm now. As the centuries progress, painting moves into broader landscapes. Artists begin to wander outside, carrying their materials into fields, forests, and along rivers. Imagine a painter in the Netherlands, standing on a grassy hill at dawn. The mist rises gently from the river, curling around the bases of distant trees. Water reflects the soft light of the early morning, rippling slowly with the faintest breeze. The painter observes quietly, not altering anything, simply absorbing the scene before applying the first gentle strokes to a canvas. The colors are soft and muted greens that feel tender, browns that feel warm, blues that feel like the sky itself breathing. This is a type of painting that teaches patience. The painter watches the light shift across the landscape over hours. A shadow moves slowly across a hill. A bird lands on a branch. The water catches a glimmer of sunlight. And each time a brush touches the canvas, it mirrors that natural, slow rhythm. Imagine yourself sitting quietly beside the painter, feeling your own body slow in time with the day, with the shadow, with the movement of the wind. You are calm, you are gentle, you are still. Back inside, in quiet city studios, other artists prepare pigments, brushes, and panels. The air is scented faintly with linseed oil, wet wood, and the soft dust of powdered minerals. They mix colors carefully, slowly, measuring just enough to cover the surface without overworking it. The soft motion of grinding pigment is hypnotic. Small gestures become a dance of attention and patience. You may imagine the faint scratch of a brush on a canvas, the slow glide of paint spreading gently across a panel, the quiet satisfaction of watching something slowly come to life under careful hands. Nothing hurries here. Everything has its place. Everything moves gently. Sometimes, artists in these quieter periods painted religious scenes. A saint might stand silently, a halo glowing softly in candlelight. A small child might kneel patiently, hands folded, waiting for the painter to capture their posture. These compositions were simple, deliberate, and calm. There were no dramatic explosions of color or gesture, just quiet reverence, gentle observation, and the careful layering of pigment, allowing viewers to rest in the stillness of the scene. Imagine looking at such a painting yourself. Notice the calm it brings. Notice the softness in the folds of the robes, the gentle light on faces, the way shadows fall without rushing. Your mind begins to echo that calm. Your body relaxes further. You are drifting in this quiet rhythm. Across towns and countryside alike, artists began exploring still life. Bowls of fruit, simple vases, folded cloth, small utensils on a table. They captured these small things not to impress, but to appreciate, to honor their quiet existence. Even the tiniest imperfections, the bend of a leaf, a slight shadow on a fruit bag, became part of the painting's charm. Imagine these little details unfolding slowly before your mind's eye. Let each one soothe you, like the soft turn of a page in a favorite book, or the gentle tick of a clock in a quiet room. You are moving with the rhythm of careful observation. You are breathing in that calm. You are at rest. As evening falls, painters continue their work by candlelight or lantern. Shadows dance softly on walls. Brushes are cleaned and laid carefully across clothes. Palettes are arranged neatly, colors muted in the soft glow. The quiet presence of paint, pigment, and light surrounds everyone in the room. Nothing interrupts the stillness. Nothing disturbs the peace. You can imagine the gentle warmth of the light, the faint smell of wax and pigment, the soft hum of quiet minds. You are part of that calm. You are breathing in tune with the rhythm of centuries of gentle, careful painting. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting. Imagine now the softest of nights, the world outside, hushed, the wind whispers in the trees. The faintest trickle of water flows somewhere nearby. Inside, candles burn low, shadows curl and fade. And throughout history, from caves to medieval workshops, from small Italian studios to northern European still life, painting has been a gentle companion to quiet minds. It has asked nothing of the viewer except to notice, to breathe, to observe, to rest. You are now fully part of that companionable calm. You are safe. You are slow. You are drifting toward rest, carried on the quiet, gentle brushstrokes of history. Dear listener, settle back into the soft, comfortable space around you. Let your arms relax completely. Let your legs release into the support beneath you. Feel the gentle weight of your body, soft and calm, as if it is sinking into a warm, welcoming cloud. Your breathing is slow, even natural. Each inhale draws in calm. Each exhale releases tension. You are here. You are safe. And tonight, we continue drifting through the soothing, quiet history of painting, following centuries of slow, deliberate creation. Our journey now takes us to small French villages of the 17th century. Imagine a narrow, cobbled street bathed in the soft glow of late afternoon. Smoke curls faintly from a chimney. Birds perch quietly on rooftops. A painter's studio awaits just off the main square, tucked above a tiny bakery. Inside, sunlight filters through the window, illuminating floating dust motes that drift lazily like tiny golden stars. The painter bends over his work with calm attention. He is creating a still life, a simple scene, a small basket of apples, a pewter cup, a folded linen napkin. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, just quiet observation, gentle care, and patient devotion. The artist's hands are steady. Each brushstroke is slow and deliberate. He blends colors softly, layering them until the edges feel seamless, the shadows gentle, the highlights understated. He pauses to watch the light shift across the room. Shadows move slowly across the floor, tracing patterns on the wooden panels. Outside, a breeze brushes past the window, rustling leaves and making the curtains sway ever so slightly. The painter breathes with the rhythm of the day. You, dear listener, may notice your own body falling into that same rhythm, soft and unhurried. Small details catch your attention in this calm studio. A faint scratch in the wood of the table, a tiny chip in the edge of the window pane, a subtle sheen on the copper cup. Even these small, ordinary elements add depth to the quiet scene. Painting, in this era, was about noticing and honoring such details, celebrating the calmness of everyday life. Imagine your mind moving over these details gently, without hurry, without need for judgment. Simply observing, simply resting. Let your attention drift now to a nearby painter in a slightly larger town, working on a portrait. The sitter is quiet, hands folded gently in their lap. The artist captures the soft curve of their cheek, the gentle slope of their shoulders, the subtle reflection of candlelight in their eyes. There is no tension, no urgency. Each brushstroke moves slowly, carefully. The room is calm, filled only with the faint sound of bristles brushing canvas, the gentle rustle of clothing as the sitter shifts, and the occasional, almost imperceptible sigh of the painter pausing to consider the next motion. You can imagine sitting quietly in that room, feeling the peaceful energy seep into your mind and body. Breathing slows, muscles loosen, thoughts drift. You are at rest. Across the centuries, painting continues its soft rhythm. In small Italian towns, artists experiment with landscapes, capturing the gentle rise and fall of hills, the slow flow of rivers, and the soft outlines of trees swaying in the wind. Each scene is carefully observed, painted with a tender eye for color and light. The sunlight glows faintly across the hills, reflecting softly on the water below. You may imagine yourself beside the painter, breathing in the calm air, feeling the warmth of the sun, hearing the gentle rustle of leaves. Everything is slow, everything is quiet, everything is gentle. Inside quiet workshops, pigments are prepared with patience. Artists grind minerals and plants into fine powders, mix them with oils or egg yolk, and layer them slowly on panels or canvas. Sometimes a mistake occurs, a brushstroke goes slightly off, a color dries differently than expected. These imperfections are accepted quietly, almost lovingly. They become part of the painting's soft, imperfect charm. Imagine tracing the gentle movement of a brush in your mind, feeling each soft line echoing in your own body, your own breath, your own heartbeat. The rhythm of centuries of calm creation becomes your rhythm now. As night approaches in these quiet towns and villages, painters often work by candlelight or oil lamp. Shadows flicker across the walls, moving ever so slowly as the flame bends with a gentle breeze. The faint smell of wax, wood, and pigment fills the room. Each artist cleans their brushes, arranges their palettes, and sets aside their work with care. Nothing interrupts the stillness. Nothing disturbs the peace. The room is filled only with the quiet, measured presence of creation. You may imagine this warmth, this softness, spreading through your own body, releasing tension, carrying you closer to rest. Imagine now the small gestures that make painting so gentle, the slow grinding of pigment, the careful mixing of colors, the tender touch of the brush on canvas, the patient layering of light and shadow, the small pauses, the quiet observation of everyday life. These are all the little rhythms that carry a mind into calmness. Imagine them brushing softly against your own thoughts, smoothing away tension, slowing your heartbeat, quieting your mind. We drift gently through time. Painters continue in small studios, outdoors, by rivers, in quiet rooms where light spills softly through windows. From simple bowls of fruit to modest portraits to quiet street scenes or serene landscapes, painting has always held a special, gentle power. It reminds us to pause, to notice, to observe, to breathe. It whispers softly, slow down, rest, be here, be calm. Now imagine yourself in a small room, the sun setting outside, the air filled with soft orange and pink light. A painter leans over a canvas. You watch, silently. The brush moves slowly. Colors blend, shadows deepen, highlights appear faintly. Each detail is deliberate, soft, considered. The room is calm. The world is calm. And you are calm. You are breathing in time with the brushstrokes, letting the quiet rhythm of painting carry you further into relaxation. Your body feels heavy, safe, and warm. Your mind drifts. You are resting in the gentle presence of centuries of slow, careful creation. Imagine the soft movement of light across walls, across canvases, across time. Imagine centuries of patient hands creating calm, ordinary beauty. Imagine yourself carried along by that soft, quiet energy. Let it fill your body, your mind, your breath. Nothing needs to happen quickly. Nothing is urgent. Everything is slow. All is calm. You are drifting deeper, carried gently by the quiet history of painting. From caves to studios to candlelit rooms, each moment a gentle brushstroke in the landscape of your mind. And now, dear listener, feel the deep peace of this quiet rhythm. Feel your body heavy, soft, still. Feel your mind drifting with the gentle, steady motion of time and paint. Each brushstroke, each muted color, each small scene is a lullaby. You are resting. You are safe. You are ready to drift even further into sleep. Dear listener, settle once more into your quiet, cozy space. Let your body feel heavier, softening with every breath. Let your arms and legs release completely, sinking into the support beneath you. Your eyes may feel heavier with each blink. Your breath moves gently, naturally, carrying calm with every inhale, letting go with every exhale. You are safe. You are still. You are here. And we continue drifting slowly through the soothing, unhurried history of painting, following centuries of soft, careful creation that asks nothing of you except to rest and observe. Imagine, if you will, a small Venetian studio in the early 1600s. The warm light of late afternoon filters through a tall, narrow window, casting long, gentle shadows across wooden floorboards. The air smells faintly of oil, linseed, and the subtle trace of wet clay from a nearby sculpture. A painter leans over a canvas stretched across a wooden easel, holding a soft brush in a steady hand. He is painting a quiet street scene, not a bustling marketplace, not a dramatic naval battle, just a small canal with gondolas drifting lazily, a few houses reflected in the still water, and perhaps a solitary cat perched on the edge of a stone bridge. Nothing urgent, nothing demanding, just slow, steady observation. He lifts his brush, dips it lightly into a muted ochre, and places the stroke on the canvas. Then he pauses. Perhaps he tilts his head slightly, noticing how the sunlight shifts on the water, how the shadows bend across the stone. Then he paints again, slow, deliberate, soft. Each stroke feels like a whisper. Each color blends gently into the next. You may notice your own breath matching this rhythm, in and out, slow, gentle, even. The painter works without hurry, and you, dear listener, drift with him. Now imagine stepping back in your mind to observe more details. The folds of fabric on a passerby's sleeve, the reflection of light on the water, tiny ripples from a gondola gliding quietly across the canal, the subtle shadow of a tree falling across a distant wall. Painting in this time was about noticing these quiet details, appreciating the stillness in ordinary moments. And as you imagine these details, let your own thoughts settle. Let your mind move slowly across the same gentle textures, tracing them softly, deliberately, without effort or urgency. The sound in the studio is soft, almost imperceptible. The brush glides across the canvas. Sometimes there is the faint scrape of pigment on the palette, sometimes a small sigh from the painter. Outside, a faint breeze moves through the window, rustling the leaves on a vine that climbs the wall. You may imagine the soft, rhythmic movements of the air, carrying a gentle calm through the studio and into your own body. Your muscles relax further, your mind drifts further. Your heartbeat matches the soft, deliberate rhythm of centuries of quiet creation. Next, imagine a small town in Holland, the 17th century, where painters are beginning to focus on the quiet beauty of domestic life. A woman sits near a window, folding laundry. Sunlight filters softly through the glass, warming the table where a small loaf of bread and a simple cup rest. A painter leans over his canvas, capturing the folds of cloth, the soft glow of light on the cup, the gentle blush on the woman's hands. There is nothing dramatic here, no sudden action, no loud story, only calm observation, patience, and gentle attention. Each brushstroke is a slow sigh. Each detail is a quiet note in a soft lullaby. You may imagine yourself sitting in the corner of this room, observing silently. You do not need to participate. You do not need to understand fully. You simply watch the slow layering of color, the blending of shadows, the soft highlights. Your body relaxes more deeply with every breath. Your mind drifts gently, mirroring the calm of the painter and the stillness of the scene. Every soft detail is a reminder that beauty can exist in quiet, ordinary moments. Every gentle line is a lullaby for your mind. In France, a painter works by candlelight on a small portrait. The sitter is relaxed, hands resting gently in their lap. A single candle flickers, casting a faint glow on the panel, highlighting the curve of a cheek and the soft folds of clothing. The painter moves slowly, carefully, brushing muted colors in soft layers. Shadows deepen gently, highlights appear faintly. The room is silent, except for the soft, repeated motion of brush against canvas. You may imagine the warmth of the candlelight, the softness of the shadows, the calm steadiness of the painter's movements. Your own body feels heavier, warmer, more relaxed. Your mind drifts with the quiet rhythm. Across the centuries, painting continues to unfold in soft, patient rhythms. Artists observe the gentle sway of trees, the quiet movement of water, the way sunlight falls on everyday objects. Bowls of fruit, vases, folded cloth, cups of water, small animals quietly resting. These ordinary subjects, carefully captured, create a soothing presence for viewers, inviting them to slow down and breathe. Imagine tracing the soft edges of a painted apple in your mind, noticing the faint shadow where it rests on a tabletop. Imagine following the delicate curve of a cat's back or the gentle fold of a curtain. Each tiny observation calms the mind, softens the body, and encourages deep rest. The act of painting in these quiet centuries was slow, deliberate, and meditative. Artists prepared pigments carefully, mixed colors slowly, and layered them patiently. Every stroke was intentional, yet gentle. Even small mistakes were accepted, becoming part of the quiet charm of the work. Imagine the soft scrape of a brush correcting a line, the gentle blending of a color, the faint shimmer of a highlight applied with care. These small motions create a rhythm that washes over your body and mind, encouraging a deep, unhurried relaxation. You are carried along by the soft, steady heartbeat of centuries of quiet creation. And now, dear listener, imagine a final gentle scene for this batch. A small studio at dusk. A painter rests, brushes laid aside, colors drying on the palette. The room is quiet, warm, filled with the soft glow of fading sunlight and flickering candlelight. Shadows curl gently across the walls. Dust motes drift lazily in the air. Every painting, every stroke, every small, patient gesture from centuries past seems to hum softly in this room, inviting you to slow even more, to breathe more deeply, to rest completely. You are safe, you are calm, you are drifting ever closer to sleep, wrapped in the quiet, gentle rhythm of painting from ages past. Dear listener, settle once more into your peaceful space. Let your body rest fully. Let your arms and legs feel heavy and soft. Let your breath flow naturally, slowly, evenly, as if the air itself is moving gently through you. You are safe. You are calm. You are here. And tonight, we continue drifting slowly, softly, through the quiet, meditative history of painting, following centuries of gentle hands, careful eyes, and patient creation. Picture a small workshop in Spain during the 17th century. Sunlight spills through a high window, scattering softly across a stone floor. The air smells faintly of oil, pigment, and the warmth of dry wood. A painter leans over a canvas on an easel, holding a soft brush. His focus is calm, deliberate. Today, he paints a still life, a clay pitcher, a few figs, a small loaf of bread on a linen cloth. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. Every detail is observed slowly. The curve of a fig, the texture of the clay, the way sunlight glows softly across the cloth. Each stroke is quiet, gentle, deliberate. Each stroke is soft, like a whispered word. Step back in your imagination and notice the room around him. The shadows of a chair stretch softly across the floor. Dust motes float lazily in the sunlight, catching the light and shimmering faintly. Perhaps you hear the quiet brush of a cat's tail against the wooden floor, or the distant sound of a bird outside. Everything is still, everything is calm. You can feel your own body softening into this rhythm, letting the slow, measured pace of the painter's workflow through you, relaxing your muscles, quieting your thoughts. Now imagine the painter pausing to observe his work. He tilts his head, the way light reflects on the fig. Perhaps he smiles softly, satisfied with the gentle harmony of the scene. He dips his brush again, adding another soft stroke of color. The brush glides across the canvas almost silently. You, dear listener, may notice your own breathing slowing, matching this quiet rhythm, in and out, soft, gentle, calm. You are present. You are at ease. You are part of this gentle, deliberate flow. Painting, in these quiet moments, becomes a meditation. Artists spend hours grinding pigments, mixing colors, and applying them with patience and care. Every stroke, every layer, every subtle detail adds to the slow, comforting rhythm. A highlight on a clay pitcher, a shadow under a cloth, a soft glow on a piece of fruit teach. One contributes to the overall calm. Imagine yourself following the brush in your mind, noticing how it moves slowly, deliberately, blending softly, building a quiet harmony. You feel that same softness in your body. Your shoulders release, your jaw relaxes, your legs feel heavy and comfortable, your mind drifts. The scene shifts gently in your imagination. You are now in a quiet Dutch town in the late 17th century. A painter works in a sunlit room, capturing a domestic scene. A woman seated at a window, hands folded, looking out onto a calm street. A small dog rests on the floor. A few baskets sit on the table, filled with fresh vegetables. The light moves slowly across the room, softening shadows, illuminating small details. Each brushstroke of the painter moves gently, carefully, capturing the calm of the moment without hurry or drama. You are sitting quietly in this scene, watching, breathing, resting. You are part of this still, patient rhythm. In France, small studios in quiet towns produce similar gentle works. Artists observe and paint what they see: a vase, a fruit, a folded cloth, the soft play of light on wood. Every gesture is slow and intentional. Every shadow is blended with care. Even small imperfections are accepted, becoming part of the subtle charm of the work. The gentle repetition of preparation, observation, and careful painting becomes a lullaby for the mind. Imagine these rhythms moving through your body, your thoughts slowing, your heartbeat calming, your mind drifting toward deep rest. Now, dear listener, imagine the faint glow of candlelight in a quiet studio. Shadows flicker softly across the walls. A painter gently sets aside his brushes after a day of careful work. The colors rest quietly in small bowls on the palette. The room is still. The soft, steady energy of creation lingers in the air. Perhaps the painter steps outside briefly, letting the cool evening breeze wash over him, carrying the faint scent of the earth, of trees, of distant water. And you feel that calm energy, soft and gentle, moving through you, easing every muscle, quieting every thought. Step further forward in time, and we find painters in small English towns of the 18th century. Artists capture quiet, natural moments. A garden at dawn, soft sunlight on a wall, a calm river reflecting trees. Their brushstrokes are slow, measured, deliberate. They focus on subtle details, the way petals fold on a flower, the shimmer of light on leaves, the faint ripples in the water. These moments are not dramatic, but they are deeply soothing. You may imagine yourself beside the painter, breathing in time with the brush, letting the soft rhythm carry you into deeper calm. Across centuries, painting has always carried this gentle, patient quality. From prehistoric cave walls to medieval monasteries to sunlit studios in Europe, painters have worked slowly, carefully, observing details, blending colors, layering pigment, pausing to notice the light. Each small act of creation is a quiet whisper, inviting those who observe it to slow, breathe, and rest. Imagine these gentle gestures surrounding you like a soft blanket, each brushstroke brushing away tension, each small color soothing your mind, each carefully observed detail guiding you toward calm. Tonight, dear listener, the history of painting is your lullaby. The soft, deliberate rhythm of centuries of careful, patient creation carries you gently, slowly, toward rest. Let your thoughts drift with the brushstrokes. Let your body sink into softness. Let your breath move naturally, evenly, with the gentle motion of time. You are safe. You are calm. You are ready to drift even further into sleep, carried by the quiet, meditative presence of painting from ages past. Dear listener, take a deep, slow breath. Let your body sink further into softness. Let your arms rest completely. Let your legs release fully into the surface beneath you. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your jaw loosen. Let your mind float with each gentle inhale and exhale. You are safe. You are calm. You are here. And now we continue drifting, slowly, softly, through the quietly unfolding history of painting. from simple beginnings to centuries of patient, deliberate creation. Imagine a small Tuscan village in the late 1600s. The sunlight spills across terracotta rooftops and gently illuminates a painter's studio tucked just above a quiet lane. The room smells faintly of wet plaster, linseed oil, and wood. A painter leans over a canvas resting on an easel, a soft brush in hand. He is capturing a simple scene: a wooden table with a few pieces of fruit, a small pitcher of water, and a folded cloth catching the light just so. Every stroke is deliberate, careful, and soft. Each color blends into the next gently, like the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of your breath. Step back in your mind and notice the small, quiet details in the room. The warm glow of the late afternoon sun on the floor. The shadows of a chair stretching lazily across the wooden planks. Dust motes floating slowly in the light, shimmering faintly like tiny stars. The painter pauses to observe the play of light and shadow, then lifts his brush again to add a soft, gentle stroke. Each moment is calm. Each gesture is patient. Each brushstroke whispers tranquility into the room and into your mind. Now imagine the painter's hands working slowly, methodically, mixing pigments with care, layering colors in soft washes, adjusting shadows and highlights without hurry. Outside, a gentle breeze moves through the open window, rustling the leaves of a vine climbing along the wall. You may notice the faint sound of a bird chirping or the soft shuffle of a cat on the floor. Each sound, each movement is slow and soft, blending seamlessly into the peaceful rhythm of the room. Your own body mirrors this calm. Your heartbeat eases, your breath slows. You feel entirely at ease. Across Europe, painters continue to find beauty in quiet observation. In Holland, a small studio overlooks a calm canal. A painter leans over a canvas, depicting a woman sitting by a window, hands folded, bathed in soft sunlight. A small dog rests near her feet. Outside, the water shimmers faintly in the afternoon light, reflecting the quiet houses along the street. The painter's brush moves slowly, deliberately, capturing every subtle detail: the folds of a dress, the sheen on the dog's fur, the faint shimmer on the water's surface. Every stroke invites calm, patience, and gentle attention. You imagine yourself quietly watching, breathing in sync with this measured rhythm. Inside workshops in France, artists create soft domestic scenes by candlelight. Shadows flicker gently across walls, gliding slowly as flames bend in a faint breeze. A painter cleans brushes carefully, sets aside a palette, and studies the faint reflections on a panel. Every motion is deliberate, gentle, unhurried. Even small imperfections, the faint scratch of a brush, a tiny shift in color, are accepted, becoming part of the quiet charm of the work. Imagine the steady, meditative flow of creation enveloping you, softening every muscle, quieting every thought, and easing your mind into rest. Now, picture the gentle expansion of painting into landscapes. Painters move outside, capturing rivers, hills, and forests in soft, muted tones. The light shifts slowly across the scene. Clouds drift lazily in the sky. Trees sway gently in the wind. Artists layer soft washes of color, blending shadows and highlights with patience. You may imagine yourself walking slowly alongside one of these painters, inhaling the fresh, calm air, listening to the faint ripple of water, and feeling the soft touch of wind on your skin. Every movement and sound encourages your body to relax, your mind to drift, your thoughts to soften. The centuries pass, and painting evolves, yet it remains patient, deliberate, and meditative. Painters explore still lifes, capturing bowls of fruit, small vases, folded cloth, and everyday objects with careful attention. The gentle layering of pigment, the soft blending of shadows, and the subtle play of light create compositions that invite calm observation. Imagine yourself sitting quietly before such a painting, noticing the delicate curves, the gentle shadows, the soft highlights. Each tiny detail encourages your body to relax further, your mind to drift, your breath to fall into a soft, natural rhythm. In small English towns, artists capture quiet domestic moments. A garden at dawn, sunlight spilling softly across a wooden fence, a calm river reflecting trees. Brushstrokes are slow, careful, and deliberate. Every movement of the brush becomes a gentle lullaby, a soft rhythm that echoes in your body and mind. You imagine following the motion of the brush, tracing it in your mind, feeling each gentle sweep of color as if it were moving across your own thoughts, smoothing them, calming them, carrying you toward deep rest. Now, dear listener, imagine the world outside at night. A soft wind moves through the trees. The moon casts a pale, gentle light across rooftops and quiet streets. Inside, painters' studios are calm and still. Brushes rest, palettes are cleaned, colors dry in quiet bowls. Shadows move softly across walls. The gentle presence of centuries of patient, careful painting lingers, whispering calmness, patience, and rest. You are enveloped in this soft, comforting energy, carried along by the quiet rhythm of centuries of creation. Finally, picture a small, softly lit studio where all of these quiet practices converge. Paintings from generations of gentle hands, slow observers, and patient artists surround you. Every brushstroke, every muted color, every careful layering is present here, a lullaby of stillness and calm. You feel your own body sinking into softness, your mind slowing, your thoughts drifting. Each detail of every painting, every shadow, every hint of light is a gentle reminder. It is okay to rest. It is okay to slow. It is okay to drift. And tonight, dear listener, the incredibly dull history of painting is your companion. The soft, deliberate rhythm of centuries of careful creation carries you gently, slowly, toward sleep. Let each brushstroke, each quiet observation, each patient layer of color lull you deeper. Your body is heavy and calm. Your mind is soft and still. Your breath moves evenly, naturally, carrying you along with the gentle motion of centuries of quiet, patient painting. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting ever closer to sleep. Dear listener, take a moment to settle once more. Feel the surface beneath you supporting your body completely. Let your arms and legs feel heavy, relaxed, soft. Let your breath flow slowly, evenly, naturally, like a gentle breeze brushing past your skin. You are safe. You are calm. You are here. And tonight, we continue to drift slowly, softly, through the gentle, unhurried history of painting, a journey of quiet observation and careful creation that has soothed minds for centuries. Picture a small, quiet studio in Florence during the early 1700s. Sunlight spills softly through a tall window, casting gentle, long shadows across the floor. The air carries the faint scent of wet plaster, linseed oil, and warm wood. A painter sits before a canvas, a soft brush in hand. Today, he paints a simple scene, a vase of wildflowers, a folded linen cloth, a small cup catching the sunlight. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. Every stroke is slow, deliberate, and soft. The brush moves almost like a whisper across the surface. You may feel your own breathing slow, softening in time with the painter's calm rhythm. Step back in your imagination and notice the room around him. Dust motes drift lazily through the sunbeams, shimmering faintly. A small bird rests quietly on the windowsill, barely moving. Shadows of furniture stretch across the floor, soft and still. The painter pauses, tilts his head, observing how the light bends across the petals of a flower or glows faintly on the curve of the cup. Then the brush moves again, soft, deliberate, gentle. You may notice your own body matching this calm rhythm, muscles releasing tension, mind slowing, thoughts drifting quietly like leaves floating on water. Now imagine the painter preparing pigments. Each color is ground carefully, mixed slowly with oil or egg yolk. There is no hurry. Each motion is deliberate, patient. A gentle swipe of color across a palette, a soft dip of the brush, a slow, deliberate stroke on the canvas. This quiet attention, this gentle, repeated motion, has been part of painting for centuries. Each artist, in every time and place, has followed this rhythm. Slow observation, gentle creation, soft layering. Imagine the subtle energy of all those centuries of careful hands surrounding you, relaxing you, guiding you toward deeper calm. The scene shifts in your mind to the Netherlands in the mid-1700s. Painters work in small, sunlit studios, capturing quiet domestic life. A woman sitting by a window, folding laundry, a small dog curled near her feet, a bowl of fruit resting on a table. The sunlight moves slowly through the room, highlighting soft shadows on walls and furniture. The painter works slowly, blending colors gently, layering shadows with patience. You can feel the same calm spreading through your own body, following the slow rhythm of brush and light. Your heartbeat slows, your thoughts soften. You drift a little further into quiet rest. In France, a small studio overlooks a garden. A painter captures soft sunlight filtering through leaves, the gentle sway of branches in the breeze, the calm reflection of water in a small fountain. Every stroke is deliberate. Every shadow is subtle. Every highlight glimmers softly without demanding attention. You may imagine the warm air, the faint scent of flowers and damp earth, the quiet rustle of leaves. Each detail, each slow motion encourages your body to release tension and your mind to relax further. You are carried along with the gentle rhythm of the natural world. Painting across centuries has always been about observation, patience, and quiet attention. Artists notice what others might overlook: the subtle curve of a table's edge, the soft sheen of light on glass, the faint ripple of water, the gentle fold of fabric. Each observation is translated into careful, slow brushstrokes. You may imagine yourself following each motion, feeling it ripple through your body, settling your muscles, softening your thoughts, easing your mind. The act of slow, deliberate creation becomes a lullaby, carrying you gently toward rest. As night falls, painters continue their work by candlelight or lantern. Shadows flicker softly across walls. Brushes rest occasionally. Palettes are arranged neatly. Colors dry quietly. The air is still, carrying the faint warmth of wax and oil. Every painter's hand moves in calm, deliberate motions. Even mistakes are accepted softly, becoming part of the gentle charm of the work. Imagine this quiet studio wrapping around you like a warm blanket. Every sound, every motion, every flicker of light adds to your sense of peace. Your body sinks deeper, Your mind drifts further. You are resting fully. Across time, painters begin exploring quiet landscapes and still lifes, capturing rivers, forests, and simple domestic interiors. The brush moves slowly. Shadows blend gently. Light glimmers softly. Even small objects, a loaf of bread, a simple cup, a vase of flowers are observed with care, their quiet beauty celebrated. Imagine tracing the gentle curves, the subtle shadows, the soft highlights with your mind's eye. Feel your body moving with the rhythm of these soft brushstrokes. Feel your thoughts drifting in time with the slow, patient, meditative motion of creation. You are calm, you are safe, you are drifting. Finally, dear listener, picture a softly lit studio at dusk. A painter rests, brushes set aside, colors drying gently on the palette. Shadows curl slowly across walls. Dust motes drift lazily in the warm glow. Every painting, every careful stroke, every subtle detail from centuries of quiet, patient observation surrounds you, carrying a gentle, meditative rhythm. You feel your body heavy and safe. You feel your mind soft and still. You are cradled in the quiet, deliberate heartbeat of painting itself. The centuries of calm observation lull you further, carrying you gently toward deep, restful sleep.